All right. Congrats for you guys who were able to get in. I'm Nathan. You might see me around with Ty a lot. We're on the next talk here. I'm here joined by Mr. Andrew Kopp.
For those of you who don't know me, I work with Ty's brother Ben in the marketing
Yes.
department because this is a social media talk. So Ty decided who else better to get than people who help him with social media.
Yeah, we're at the cutting edge of social media, especially if you check out Ty's, Periscope, Meerkat, Snapchat. We kind of handle that from Ty's direction. So when Ty gives a direction, we carry it out, and we have a lot of insight for social media for you guys. And we have a talk prepared. So hope you guys enjoyed James' talk. Thank you so much for joining us.
James is a character. Me and him still got some talking to do about his words on Cam Newton. I know he was rooting for Denver, but me and him. He's a great guy. He definitely knows what he's talking about. Definitely dropped some knowledge, but we're going to get more practical in this session.
Yes.
Talk more about social media. I know he touched on more offline things, but we're going to do more online for you guys.
We're going to get more technical here on the social media training here. So Kopp is going to start with a little overview on social media in today's world, and then I'm going to go in depth more. I have 6 points prepared on how you can improve your social media accounts today. All right.
Cool. Thanks, Nathan. Again, for those of you who don't know, my name's Andrew Kopp. I work with Ty and his marketing department, helping him with social media. Before I start, I just want to know where you guys are from. I came in a little bit later. Where's everybody from? No, C-O-P-P, not C-O-P, but yes, you definitely spelled
People
it right.
are going to find you on Facebook now.
Yeah, Andrew Kopp, C-O-P-P. Dominican Republic, DR. Okay,
Cool,
Dallas,
Washington.
Bronx. I'm from Staten Island, New York. So shout out to the BX. French Montana. I see you guys.
Saw you in New York.
You saw me in New York?
Yeah, we were just in New York, what was that, a month ago? Flew by so fast. New York.
Hawaii.
Shout out to you guys on the East Coast.
I love you, Hawaii. Okay, cool. All right, so before I go into social media and how to grow your social media accounts and things of that nature, I just want to kind of take a step back and talk about where we are today just as a business in general, right?
One thing, actually, I wanted to announce before you make that announcement. We are going to be doing giveaways. Just wanted to remind you for our talk specifically. So we're going to give away one Apple Watch on our talk, and then Ty's going to wrap up with the big giveaway for the car giveaway. If you guys have joined us before on past live calls, we're going to be continuing that. But our talk specifically, we're going to do a giveaway. So take lots of notes. We talk pretty quickly, and it flies by so fast.
From those of you from New York, you know how we talk like we're in an auction. So definitely take some quality notes because you will be caught off guard.
Yeah.
So definitely pay attention.
We go really fast, so make sure you take lots of notes because when we do this giveaway, we're going to give away Apple Watch. We're going to be pulling a random fact that we went over. So it's going to be totally random. So you definitely need to take as much notes as possible. That's my suggestion. All right. We'll continue. Go ahead, Kopp.
Cool, Nathan. I'll take over, and when I'm done, I'll bring you in, and then we'll kind of do it that way. 'Cause I know this camera's a little bit narrow, so I don't want us bumping into each other. But yes, before we go into social media, I kind of just want to take a step back and just kind of discuss where we are today, just as business. I know James touched on it. Ty touched on it. He went over how, poor people really miss a lot of opportunities and how opportunity really comes every 7 years, right? So we already touched on how today we're in an ever adapting world, right? We're in a fast-paced world. You hear about this all the time. Things are changing. Right now we have 4 cameras, we have 3 smartphones, and you think about it, 10 years ago, a decade ago, you would have never imagined that we're reaching about 10,000 people with 4 smartphones, right?
Yeah, you guys should really, if you guys are on the live call right now, you could see this little behemoth we got going on
from the B-roll.
We don't have Meerkat on right now, but man, when Meerkat is on, Facebook's on, Periscope's on, YouTube's on, all these social media accounts, we got really, you have to be a master at each one to really take advantage of all of them. You can't just dabble in them. You kind of have to be the master at each one to really get the best out of everything.
And it's amazing because you think about it, 10 years ago, just to piggyback on what you're saying, we was texting, the 2 button 3 times to get the letter C over text. So, we've definitely come a long way, and it's coming fast. It's not slowing down. Right now, we're on a call with thousands of people, and we're not even on TV. Think about that. We're not going to be on ABC. We're not going to be on Channel 13 or CBS or anything like that.
Real quick, I'm curious, how many social media accounts are you guys using right now? Are you guys only using YouTube? Are you guys on everything? I just want to know real quick. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but
for
I'm
sure.
curious. We got 6 accounts, 8 accounts, okay? And are you dispersing your time equally amongst all of them? Because we do. We pay attention to everyone.
Everything.
YouTube especially, though, we do because that's our biggest account.
And not only do we pay attention to these accounts, but we pay attention
Instagram,
to up-and-coming media platforms such as Peach. I know Peach is the up-and-coming one. Snapchat, we're kind of killing that right now with Ty. So it's not only dabbling and keeping on track with the primary social media accounts now, it's also looking out for the ones that's going to blow up in the future. So, you know, that's kind of some insightful stuff.
Yeah, everybody does our research. Here at Knowledge Society, we take our job seriously, and definitely, like, when something new comes out, you got to jump on it.
Yeah, for sure. And that brings me to my second point. And business and marketing is kind of like relationships in a sense, right? So let me throw you a little scenario. Let's play a little, give you a little improv right here. Just imagine, you know, whether you're a boy, you're a male, female. Imagine you're a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? You guys have been in a long-term relationship for, you know, a couple years, and, you know, they woke up early, they wrote you love letters, or they cooked you, you know, breakfast every morning, and they came home early every night. They spent time with you, right? But then imagine, you know, after 3 years, all of a sudden, whether it's the male or the female, they want to start their own business, right? So they don't have as much time for you. They're sleeping in a little bit more because they're tired from working all night. And the relationship dynamics begin to change. How would the other person react to it, whether it's the boyfriend or the girlfriend, right? How they wouldn't be as receptive, right? Because we all fear change. We all fear change because we fear the unknown. We're used to something, and once something changes, whether it's for better or for worse, we don't really give it an opportunity. We want things to stay the same because that's what we know, right? So let me tell you a personal story. The guys at the office are gonna laugh because I actually went through a breakup not too long ago with a girlfriend, 3.5 years. So let me ask you, Nathan,
Congrats.
right? Congrats, right? Yeah.
All right.
If we broke up, right? Imagine I treated her the same way in the relationship as I treated her now that we're broken up. Right? What do you think would happen if I text her after we broke up? I still text her the same or called all the time.
Man, that hits home, actually.
I'd probably get a call from a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
With a restraining order or something like that.
You would get some sort of friction back. You get a lot.
I'll get my number blocked.
Negative responses.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is times change, right? You guys are funny on Periscope. But what I'm trying to say is times change, and we have to adapt, right? So just as stupid as that situation was, right? Nobody's going to text their ex the same or call them the same. But businesses are doing that, right? We have new social media platforms. We have new ways of marketing. But businesses are acting the same as they did a couple years ago, and they're not adapting to the change. And one platform, one industry that's really getting disrupted right now is film and television, right? Look at Hulu. Look at Amazon. Look at Netflix and chill, right? What's one of the biggest shows out there? What is it? Orange is the New Black? That's a huge show, but that is Netflix only, right? So Netflix is producing content specifically for Netflix, right? You have guys like Ty Lopez who gets 20,000 people on a call, but he's his own media company, right? Endorsements, Tide can't get any money off Ty Lopez, right? Bleach, they can't. Clorox, they can't take Ty's his eyeballs away. So things are changing, and basically what I'm trying to say is if you're stubborn, you're gonna lose, right? If you're romantic about how you're marketing, if you're still into newspaper, and not to say newspapers because they do have their place, trust me, but if you're still doing billboards, if you're still doing classified ads, if you're still running commercials, right? Nick Unsworth, who spoke at the conference, said he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars actually, and that a media company persuaded him to do a commercial, and he lost all his money. So all the money that he worked hard for doing grassroots marketing, word of mouth, things like that. So a commercial company said, okay, let's try it with us, and he lost everything.
Definitely. You got to be adaptable in this world, especially today with the technology, increasing, with the increasing technology in today's world. You know, an example of Ty, he got into Google AdWords a long time ago. I think that's what he was talking about. One of his products, he taught him how to do Google AdWords. He was getting like I don't know, 1,000% ROI. I don't know the number, but it was way huge, and now it's very difficult to get an ROI that high. So that's because a lot of people adapted to Google AdWords, and now they're the norm. So you got to adapt to something new.
And if you don't, you're gonna lose. So let's look at some losers, right? Because for those of you who weren't here, I said I'm from New York, Staten Island, New York, Arlington projects. So when you're born in the projects, the hood, whatever, hip hop is kind of your music by default, right? You're gonna be listening to some hip hop. You know those are the guys that grow up around you. So for all of you who were, I'm 21. For those of you who are younger, how many of you use LimeWire to get some of your illegal music? Do you guys remember LimeWire?
I remember that.
Raising your hand in the back. LimeWire. Cool. Yeah, exactly, right? So I think I was in about 6th grade, and I got my first iPod. I think it was MP3s at the time, because iPods weren't even that popping like that. I got my first MP3, and I had a laptop, and I had LimeWire, and that's basically how I put all my hip-hop music, right? I think T.I. was the biggest artist at the time, So what I did to get the music on my MP3s, I went to LimeWire and I did that, and basically I didn't have to buy albums anymore, right? I think Eminem was cool at the time too. So guess what happened? The music industry, just like the television and movie industry now, was getting disrupted. So back then, it was a whole big thing. Oh, album sales are dropping. Artists are releasing first week. Album sales are decreasing crazily. And guess what? I remember 2 years later, I was in 8th grade. I read a story, and I think it was the Post, New York Post, and it was about a case on how LimeWire, I think it was like a music company or artist or something, they found somebody, a college student, who downloaded 250 songs. So they charged him $1,000 per song he illegally downloaded off LimeWire, and they would try to sue him for $250,000.
Jesus.
Right? So what I'm trying to say is that every time there's a change, whether it be in music or whatever, you're always gonna have people who fight it. No, and you should take that. Whatever. That's gonna happen. But instead of trying to fight the change, you should embrace it. So guess who really won from LimeWire and Napster and all those things? Guess what? Lil Wayne, Jay-Z. Yeah. They started releasing free music, mixtapes, right? They started doing all this free music, and they started Soulja Boy, right? Remember Soulja Boy?
Yeah.
They instead of making music off the albums, instead of making money off the albums, they started touring. Yeah. Right? And that's how they got their money. So instead of saying, oh yeah, we're gonna fight this, I'm not gonna release any more music until LimeWire is out of the picture. Yeah, they started touring. Now guess what? Now we have things like Spotify and Spinrilla, right? Besides Drake, and I'll get to Drake a little bit later, I don't buy anybody's albums. Imagine everybody, all the artists back in 2008 who said, I'm not gonna make no more music until LimeWire and stuff is done. They still won't be making music to this day because it hasn't changed. When change comes, it's probably not gonna stop. So you're better off adjusting. Let's look into some more losers. Taxis, right? Yeah. Taxi. We were just in New York. Did we take a yellow cab or did we take Uber?
We did not. I didn't. In Vegas we did, but that's because they're lagging.
Mm-hmm. And taxi industry is getting disruptive now. I mean, Uber, is taking over. Airbnb.
I think New York, there's like 7 different kinds of Uber apps.
Yeah, it's insane. Airbnb, right? I'm 21. Hotel. I go Airbnb, save a couple dollars. And your favorite, I know you love to talk Blockbuster. Can you tell a little bit about Blockbuster, how they could easily adapt it?
They messed up, is what happened. So everybody knows the name Netflix. I bet you if you went to like a 10-year-old, they wouldn't know what Blockbuster is now. They only know Netflix, and the reason why is simple. They didn't adapt. They did get onto the cutting edge, which was home delivery service, right? Belay that. Netflix was the one who did home delivery service. Blockbuster was just a storefront. You had to go into the store, rent a DVD, and then return it like a week or 2 later, right? That's so much friction. And at the time, it wasn't that much friction. But as new technology comes out, there's home delivery service from Netflix. That's so much less friction. All you got to do is open up your mailbox and then send it back. I don't know. What was the closest Blockbuster to you? Mine was like 2 miles away.
Yeah, mine was a couple miles away.
It's not even a walk away. So they found a way to make it less friction. And, when there's less friction, when you buy things, you're going to get a lot more sales. And that's what happened. They beat them out. When everybody takes a shorter route instead of the longer route, which was Blockbuster, they go bankrupt.
Yeah, and look, I wrote some notes down for my talk, right? So we have 4 different industries. We have music, we have transportation, we have the hotel industry, and then we have entertainment, right? Blockbuster, Airbnb, Uber, taxi, and music. Those are 4 different industries that went through change. None of the change stopped. The change kept going, but yet you have 4 different instances, 4 different stories of people who tried to fight it, and guess what? They all lost. Yep. Right? So the moral of the story is don't necessarily abandon what you're doing, but be very aware of the change that's happening because it's not going to stop. And if you don't embrace it, somebody else will. Somebody like Ty back in 2001 AdWords, what's that? He embraced it, and he won big. So just be very careful of change. And the same way those companies should have adapted is the same way that you guys have to adapt in your own companies. And I'll get to a little bit more practical things going on. But let's take a look at my mother. My mother, when I was young, elementary school, loved magazines, whether it was Ebony or the tabloids. I mean, I remember having magazines all over the house, right? But then what happened when I got into high school? TMZ. Oh my God! I mean, in high school, every time I come home, there'd be some TMZ on about the latest story, some crazy nonsense. And I don't really watch TV, so I can't really remember. But guess what? Guess what she does now, Nathan? She shares, right? So she went to reading magazines when I was young, right? Then when I was in high school, she watched TMZ. But now she does all the Facebook stuff. She shares the Facebook fights, the shenanigans that all the viral videos on Facebook. She shares that now, and occasionally she'll DM me some like ads or like some stuff that's definitely obviously sponsored, paid for advertisement, right? Yeah. So look, just take a look at that. Just look at that for a second. So she went from magazines to television, TMZ, to Facebook. I'm 21. All in a matter of 21 years. Guess what? All that advertising dollars that Ebony magazine used to have and all the tabloids used to have, that's now getting split with television, right?
I agree.
That now got split with Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, right? So all that money that was working on page 70 of Ebony magazine about the deal on a new car is not getting seen by my mom anymore. It's not getting seen by many of the people reading the magazines because they moved on. So I think that's very important, especially if you're advertising, because if you're on a site that's losing eyeballs, right? If you're still advertising solely in magazines or solely in billboards when people are obviously walking with their hair down on their phone, you're going to lose because nobody's paying attention and you're going to just waste money.
Yeah. He's walking off because I'm distracted here. Just kidding.
Cool. Okay. So that's where all the advertising, that's where my mom's attention, right? So we have to pay attention, because as marketers, right, as Ty's trying to get in front of people. Ty has a message and a story to tell about how he went from $47 in his bank account to living in this wonderful place. He has a story to tell, but he has to have people to tell it to, right? Yeah. So if he's still advertising in magazines where the advertisement and the eyeballs are still not there, he's wasting money. Yeah. Right, and that's why we're now on Facebook Live. That's why we're on Snapchat. You can
have a really good product and put it in front of people who have money, right? Let's say you put $1 million product in front of a guy who has $1 million, but that'll probably make less money than. Let me rephrase that. So this guy has $1 million, but he doesn't want to buy, and you put out a $1 product to 1 million people who want to buy. You're going to make more money. So that's the trick with marketing. You gotta not only have to send traffic to your website or to your product or to your store, but you got to send the right traffic, and that's where you separate the experts or the losers from the winners.
And then we just have a comment right there from Elisa says strategy is the key, right? Yes. But now here's a great question, right? So now we just went to the hyperbole about how world is changing, blah, 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 stuff that James talked about, Ty talked about. So let's get into some fun stuff. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do social media, right? I'm a believer. Andrew, you convinced me. Social media is the next thing. Let's do it. What do I do? Twitter, Pinterest, Peach, Snapchat. It seems like you have unlimited options, but not really, right? So here's what I mean by that. The one thing I learned from working with Ty and working here at Knowledge Society, because it's not just only Ty anymore who's doing these talks, is that we're really students, especially in the marketing department. We're students, me and Ben is Ty's brother. We're students of the game. We're watching what everybody is doing. Not only people in our space, entrepreneurship and coaching and self-help, but people who are in health and fitness, people who are in gardening, people who are in real estate. we're watching how they're getting their word out.
Oh yeah.
And we're trying to say, okay, A, B, C, and D is doing X. So I think it's time we do X as well.
If they're all doing the same thing. If you go, so Ty calls it going straight to the top. You know, when you go straight to the top and everybody's doing the same thing, everybody in your industry, let's say everybody in your industry has a website and it has a picture of, I don't know, dogs. And maybe you should try having pictures of dogs on your website too.
Gang, Hero. Keep that thought. Gang. I'm gonna touch on that. I actually have that right here written down on the board. Gang. So okay, cool. So sorry to interrupt, but gang. Right. So let's look at Drake. Right. What happened this past summer? It was a whole ghostwriting allegations. Right. I'm a huge Drake fan. The 416 Toronto. I love him. Love him to death. I've been rocking him. Not Degrassi. I never watched Degrassi, but room for improvement for those of you guys who know. But anyway, the main point of the story is right. The ghostwriting allegations with Quentin Miller. People were saying, okay, Drake's not a real MC. He has to have people around him to help. This, that, and the third. People like Biggie and Rakim didn't have to do what he did. They didn't have to have a team. But let me put things in perspective, because when I was hearing that as a business person, business savvy as I am, I was like, whoa, let's pump the brakes on that, because let's look at things that they're saying about Kanye West and Jay-Z to a degree. What are they saying about Kanye West now? He's too big. He's out of touch. He can't relate to the common folk anymore. Right. He's not hungry as he was. Now he's just talking about all type of things that people can't relate to. I remember I was watching a video on YouTube the other day, and Kanye did a remix to Jumpman by Drake and Future. Yeah. And he dissed basically Nike, right? He was like, Jumpman, I just jumped over Jumpman or whatever, what have you, because he's with Adidas now. And people were saying, he just made a diss record to a brand, a $1 billion brand. How can we relate to that? And what I'm trying to say is that when Drake had the Quentin Miller thing, you don't take what the media says to you, because you really have to think deeper into things, right? So when you look at the song he just released, right, Summer 16, right, he had one line in there that says, oh, you was never gang, which is why I brought that up. Gang. That's something Chief Keef said, right? And that's a Chicago type of verbiage. Okay. Right, and Drake's from Toronto, from the 6. He lived in Calabasas, not too far away from here, secluded, big ass house, like this, bigger. How does he know about gang? Well, he has a team around him. He keeps his ear. He's a student, right? And if you're reading this, it's too late. He started using words like ops, things like that. Again, Chicago language. How does Drake know that? Right? He's introducing people. He has a radio station on iTunes, and he's introducing artists like Kodak Black. How many of you know Kodak Black? Artist, hip hop artist. How does he know about this stuff? How is he staying relevant at such high success? He's a student of the game. And if you have people like Drake doing that, and again, I like to tell stories because it kind of puts everything in perspective. It's easier to digest. You have Drake there with a team. He's keeping his eyes to the streets. He's watching what people are in the trap, what they're doing. I think you should do it too. So why I'm saying that is because you have to do market research. Just like Drake did his market research, just like he has a team around him, and he has people listening to other music. You guys have to do the same. Right, and there's
that's what Ty does.
That's what Ty does.
That's what we are. We do the R&D. He has the ideas, the big picture goals, but we do the dirty work of actually, reaching out to all. We go straight to the top. We analyze people's websites and we figure out things, and we have this insight, and we bring it up to Ty in case he's not aware of it already. First step's awareness. You got to be aware of things. And what's the best way? You can't just be aware of everything on your own. You got to have a team by your side. If you have a team you can trust, a research and development team, that'll make, how many web pages are there on the internet? It's got to be in like the 2 to the 10 to the 10 to the 10 or something, right? Yeah. There's so many web pages, and you got to do good research on each one. So you got to have a experienced R&D team, right? So I could go really deep into that. But the short answer is just do KSE, knowledge, strategy, execution. Once you have the knowledge, you'll know which to research, and you could build a team that way who could, and once you get the research done, implement it to your business and, reap the benefits of it.
R&D means research and development. For those of you guys asking, also somebody said they appreciate our time. We appreciate you too, because attention is the most important thing, right? So thank you for giving us your attention. We don't take that lightly, and I think people really like that Drake comparison because I think it really helped.
I was worried because I was like, man, I don't know the comparison, so I don't know if you guys would. So I'm glad that you guys get it. I guess I'm a little whitewashed.
You have a bunch of bullets. All right, so but you were saying R&D important, and we're big on that, right? But let's look at it from the other side of the coin, right? Because there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk was just here 2 days ago, right? A couple days ago.
Yeah.
And he's somebody like Ty and Gary. Those are two guys I really watch as far as their content. Now he's somebody that says he doesn't care about what the competition is doing. He doesn't watch his competitors. He doesn't know his competitor CEO's shoe size, because that's something that Ty says, right?
It's interesting. They're kind of like polar opposites.
It's polar opposites, right? But let me put it in perspective, because I don't think either side is necessarily true, because I think they're both more in the middle than what it seems. But you have Ty on one hand who says, okay, you should know your competitor's shoe size, his child's name, his address, what he eats in the morning. And then you have Gary who says he could care less about his competitor because he's going to do him regardless. Now, I think you need to do a little bit of both, because what Gary is saying, he's saying that he doesn't necessarily view his competitors or watch his competitors because he doesn't want to do the same thing that they're doing. He wants his product and his voice and his words to be differentiated. But I think what he's not really, he touches on it a little bit if you're really a fan, but he learns from other people. So if you go out there, you're looking at guys like Gary and other people who are saying, okay, I don't care about what my competition is doing. Yes, because you don't want to say the same thing that they're saying, because people love Ty, and I go and watch other people's shows and their, YouTube and they're like, you're not Ty. Why are you talking like him? I get it, you're learning, but you kind of regurgitate what he's saying, but you're not him. So Gary's saying don't pay attention to the competition because of that. But what you should do is see what the other competition is doing, right? So if I'm a gardening company and I see that my 5 competitors are on Twitter, I should probably be on Twitter. Or if I am doing a fashion blog and they're using Instagram and Pinterest. Yeah. So you want to pay attention to your competition because you want to see what they're doing. But you don't necessarily want to copy their product and their voice because you're not them. But the reason why you don't necessarily want to copy 100% or pay attention too close is because you also want to keep on track of new trends, right? So if I'm doing exactly what Ty's doing, I'm trying to mimic him, I'm not going to keep my eyes open for Peach or for Snapchat or for Vine. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not paying attention at all, then I'm not going to see where we're already at, and I'm not going to take a piece of the market share that's already there. So it's a little balance of both.
I think to summarize what you're saying here, looks like we got to reset Facebook in a sec, but not everything's black and white. You can't always say for truth, always analyze your competition, always analyze who's at the top. You got to also look at the polar opposite side, like Gary Vee. You got to take his perspective into it. You can't just always listen to one person and believe that everything he says is the absolute truth, because there's some things that he doesn't know. So that's really part of the knowledge transfer. You got to compare what he says to what this other guy says and find a common ground to what you believe in and what you find factual with everybody else. So whenever I read, or whenever Ty reads something, a new book, or whenever Cop reads something, a new book, you can't just take every word as truth, because there's also another book that contradicts it. So you kind of have to find that common ground. You know what I mean? So all in all, not everything's black and white. So take everything and just with a grain of salt.
Cool.
One thing, looks like we got to reset Facebook. So we're going to reset Facebook in one sec. But stay tuned because we are giving away the Apple Watch here on Facebook. So
for those on Facebook,
come back. This is a test for you guys. If you guys come back, looks like we got 440 people on Facebook at this time. Let's see how many people drop off. Who's strong? Who's willing? Give us 1 sec. You could keep talking.
Everything is black and white. Cool. That's a good question. It went out. Can't see. Lord. How can you generate income as a single uncle with the 2 year? I'm still here.
Go ahead, answer some questions.
Who is Gary Vee? What's his Vaynerchuk? Vaynerchuk. Giveaway. Giveaways on all platforms. Facebook, Meerkat, on a website. Aliens are what color? Nathan is from the Bay Area. He's from up in Cali. I'm from New York. What should I do?
NorCal.
It gave me. The people offered me my idea 2 million for. I mean, if people offer you money, that's kind of you have to. Looking at college student, I mean, you could do practical stuff. You could babysit. You could, you could do all types of stuff as a college student. You could help tutor. You could babysit. You could do work study, or you could use college for what it's for, right? So if you're already paying your tuition and you're already in a safe haven, college is the best time to launch a business because if you fail, you can always go back to your dorm room as opposed to in real life because then you have to go to the shelter. So in college definitely is a great time to start experimenting.
All right, we're back live on Facebook. Sorry to interrupt you. But we're back live. Again, running that contest here on all platforms. We got Facebook here, Periscope, YouTube. So if you're here on the website, we didn't forget about you. Cool. All right, we're back on Facebook. People are jumping back on. Cool. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, go ahead and continue.
Cool. All right. So basically, before we stop, I was talking about market research, right? Should you ignore the competition or should you pay attention? For the most part, you should pay attention what your competition is doing. That way, you have a blueprint. You should keep your eyes open for new trends like Snapchat and things of that nature. But you should, for the most part, know what your competition is doing. Follow the blueprint. Keep your eyes open for the differentiating new thing that can set you apart. And the confusing thing with a lot of people is like, okay, cool. My competition is on social media. I'm a believer in my competition. I'm going to join. But which one do I do? We have Vine, we have Pinterest, we have Facebook, we have Peach, we have Snap, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have all types of social media sites. Now, for the most part, all you guys should probably be on Facebook for the most part. The thing with that, and take this with a grain of salt, is that their organic reach is not that awesome.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of money.
I'm going to do a breakdown of each of the social media platforms in my portion of the talk. But yeah, each of the social media platforms, you got to use different forms of content for each one. So whatever you're trying to accomplish, you got to use a different social media platform for each one. So I'll go in depth.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit more practical. We're gonna get a lot of practical.
But just touch on that real quick.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, you should always be native in every platform you're talking to, right? So in Twitter, it's probably gonna be more words than video and things of that. You kind of want to respect the platform. But for the most part, Facebook is like the modern day business card. So even if you're don't have that much money, you can't really, post or, boost your posts. You should still be on Facebook because it kind of increases credibility. Twitter is also a great platform to listen, right? So most people on Twitter, that's a great way to, get market research from your CEO, see what they like. And if you guys who want to network, Twitter is the perfect place to go because you can always read your person's tweets and then you can get valuable information.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and this is why market research is important, right? So I do yoga, right? I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of cycling. I do things of that nature, right? And I just met a girl the other day.
Yeah.
And she works in like kind of press, like kind of public relations, but she's starting her own fitness blog on the side, right? Fitness lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, right? Being in the marketing department, knowing my stuff, she should probably, for the most part, be on Instagram. She should be on Snapchat, more visual, right? She's a female. Yeah. Guys like that. Pretty females, always in demand. Fitness, Instagram, killing it. How many workout videos, workout pages we see. So for the most part, she should be on Instagram if she would have paid attention to the market. Yeah. She should be on Snapchat if she would have paid attention to the market. My ex-girlfriend, she loved fashion, right? She's from New York. She loved fashion. She, for the most part, if she's going to go to thrift shops, review something that she bought and sell it, she should probably be on Pinterest.
Normally
right?
What I do is I say, if I get into a business, let's say I'm getting into the t-shirt business, I ask myself, man, what are everybody else doing? What is everybody else doing in the t-shirt business? What platforms do they use? And then I take that knowledge and then I apply it to my business. That's really the bulk of what we mean by paying attention to the market.
Yeah, somebody said Pinterest ? Yeah, if you don't know what Pinterest are, you are probably got some catching up to do, but it's okay. That's what we're here for.
Pinterest, Pinterest is cool though. It's like I think it's 70% women.
Yeah, it's it's pretty good. Very women dominated. But for the most part, she should have been on Pinterest, whatever.
Sorry, somebody said Craigslist. I got to shout that out because
Craigslist
I forgot about
awesome.
that actually, and then I met somebody who was doing Craigslist marketing, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, Craigslist is a great way to arbitrage like garage sales. Like you go on Craigslist, you class up, newspaper. That's what newspaper is good for. If you want to go to a garage sale, oh man, especially older folks, they put that in the newspaper. You could go and buy the stuff on eBay or Amazon and sell it.
I actually, it's my first point. It's called Horses for Courses, something that Ty's talked about. But yeah, keep going.
Cool. All right. So for the most part, that's why, you know, paying attention to market research is important, because I could easily tell a female whatever she wants to do, I could tell her what platform she should use, right? But if you're out there and you're in a little bit more of a complex industry and you kind of don't know, you know, your competition is doing this, but the other person, the second guy is doing that, and it's kind of hard to tell, then you should do what Neil Patel calls is the spaghetti rule, right? So for the most part, you guys should know what platforms you should be on by your competition. But if you don't, guess what you should do? It's something called the spaghetti rule. And what Neil Patel, and this is an accelerator for you guys who haven't bought, this is why you need to get it. He said that you should try all the platforms, try it all, and then whichever one does the best, you should stick to it right away, right? So
for sure, yeah.
Do a Vine, do a Pinterest, do a Facebook, do an Instagram, do a Twitter, do it for a week, couple weeks, and whichever one catches the most traction, forget about the rest and focus on that, right? What does Ty like to say? Ty always says, I remember I was, you know, before I worked here, I went through all Ty's courses, and you know, I'm not gonna get into my testimonial as an accelerator, but he always said, okay, he used to ask people, what do you want to do for your business, right? And people say, I want to change the world, or I want to revolutionize this, I want to revolutionize that. And he said you should focus. You know, instead of trying to change the world, pick one niche, pick one industry, and focus on that. Because what he said, Genghis Khan, right? Alexander the Great, two of the greatest conquerors of all time, two of the greatest, you know, generals of all time. They didn't go and, you know, attack all of China. They didn't do what Hitler did, which was start a three-front war. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, they focused on one area at a time. They, you know, conquered it, and then they moved on, right? So for those of you who don't know what platform to pick, try all of them. See what it's going to be. Trust me, it's going to be very obvious which one does the best, and then focus on that. And why should you focus on one social media platform at a time if you're starting out?
Actually, sorry, I just want to interject. That reminds me of the book, The One Thing, Gary Keller. Have you read it? It's
yes.
Gary Keller. It talks about what's the one thing that you could do to make everything else in your day, life, or week, year, whatever, a lot easier. What's the one thing you could do right now that makes everything that's coming up a lot easier? And the reason why he says that, or actually there's an interesting quote he put. It was Confucius. It was if you chase 2 rabbits, you wind up with none. That's like in the first 3 pages. Mm-hmm. And that kind of sums up a lot of things. You know, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, they just focused on one thing and killed it, literally. They just focused on one thing, and they're able to really take advantage of it.
And then you look at somebody,
than, you know, being dispersed
like
out.
a Hitler, who was dominating basically. I'm gonna take a little history lesson because I was great at history in school, right? Him and Russia, right? Stalin and Hitler, they basically they joined forces because Stalin, even though he didn't really like Hitler was in his backyard, so he didn't want those problems. So he kind of said, okay, let's do peace, right? And that's basically Hitler took over the Western Europe, France, killed them, did all that stuff. And, you know, Italy was an ally of Hitler's as well, right? So he basically had a one-front war in the beginning where he was attacking Western Europe, dominated. Yeah. Got greedy.
Okay.
Said, Stalin, you're next, buddy. I got Western Europe. Now it's your turn, right? So then he started a war with Stalin, right? So pretty much at this point, it's still a one-front war, a little bit of two because Britain still hasn't gotten taken over because they're doing blitzkrieg, things of that nature. So it's kind of a two-front war at this point between Britain and Russia. But then guess what? You know, we have D-Day coming, right? So then we're back in Western Europe. You have so you have Britain, Western Europe. You have Stalin, Eastern Europe, and then America kind of, you know, Patton and stuff took over Italy. So now you have a three-front war, right? So for those of you guys who get too aggressive, good. I like your aggression, right? You have ambition, but you have to challenge it because if you start a three-front war, if you try to do too much too soon, history will tell you it's not a good strategy. And the person says strategy is key. So
strategy is key. That's the quote of the day. Thanks.
Yeah, and I know that's a little history lesson, and I don't, you know, I don't want to get a little boring, but think of it as a race, right? I played football in college. You know, went to Seton Hill University. If we're in a race, right? If somebody is faster than you, right, or if somebody's ahead of you in something, the only way to get better than them is if to focus down, right? So I guess the best way to put this is if you're a better weightlifter than me, right? But you do a ton of different things. So if you work out 3 days a week and you're a better weightlifter than me, for the most part, if I work out 5 days a week, eventually I'm going to be better than you. But if I work out 2 days a week and then I do something else 2 days a week and I do something else 2 days a week, I'm never going to catch up. So not only are you better than me, you're working out more than me. But if you're better than me, the only way to catch up to you is if I work out more than you, right? So that's why you have to focus down, because your competition is already
double down on
better than you, right? They already have years on you. They already been in business. They're already doing better than you. So the only way to catch up is if you put in more work than them, right? So a lot of people talk about working hard and working smart. In the beginning, you have to do a little bit of both, because you're at a disadvantage. So the only way to catch up to your competition is to know, okay, the smart part is, okay, this platform, that's smart. But then working hard is, okay, I'm going to put more time into it than them so I can catch up.
And there's some people who put a lot of time into it, but they don't get as much. So here's the best way for you guys to implement that lesson right now. There's like, I think some of you here on the call are like 10 years old, 13 years old. You guys are reading. You guys are on this call. You guys are gaining knowledge rapidly, right? And there's some people on this call that are like 30 years old. You guys are also reading. But what separates you guys, even though you guys may have started at the same day, is how good, or what is the knowledge that you guys are taking in. If you're reading YouTube, if you're watching YouTube videos, like a YouTube video named How to Play the Piano, and you watch it for 15 minutes, do you think you're really gonna learn how to play the piano faster than somebody who's been actually, sitting down with a piano mentor for 15 minutes? That's how you could efficiently go through
hold on.
Gain as much knowledge as
Timo Etz on Facebook Live just questioned my history skills. Please tell me what was wrong about that history lesson. Did Hitler not start a three-front war? Did he not attack Stalin after they had a peace agreement? Did America not come from the South in Italy?
Right,
please correct me on that.
We digress on that.
Yeah, we digress.
What I was saying is, careful what knowledge you take in, because there's always opportunity costs. If you go through like a $2 book that has like no knowledge in it, well, actually, let me rephrase this. If you go through a textbook that is $100 on business, but your friend is actually reading Sam Walton's Made in America, that's a $3 book. How much knowledge do you think you'll be getting versus your friend? So everything is an opportunity cost, and you really got to focus on what knowledge you're taking in. Go ahead.
Cool. All right. Somebody asked what platform is our favorite for marketing. It's different for different things, and Nathan will touch on that a little in his talk. You have to respect the platform, and each platform you could tell a little bit of a different story. So we'll get a little bit more into that. Daniel, see you out there. So what should we do on these platforms, right? My competition is on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Cool. I'm gonna do that. What should we do? Now, Gary Vaynerchuk, one of his favorite quotes that I think is amazing. He says, "Content is king, but context is God," right? Content is king, context is God. So we hear about content all the time. Content marketing this. You have to create content if you're going to sell something, create content first so people could gain trust. We hear about content all the time. But context is what's most important, right? The fact that Gary Vaynerchuk, right, grew up in Belarus, came to America, immigrant. His father grinded, he grinded. Ty Lopez, $47 in his bank account, he grinded. Success story, Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan getting cut from the basketball team. He grinded, got made varsity, and then went to North Carolina. And then, right? So the context is God, because think about everything we just said right now. Could somebody go on Google and find out what we're talking about?
Right.
Can somebody go on YouTube and listen to another guru to hear what we're talking about?
Yes.
Absolutely. Content is a commodity. It's the context that makes the difference. And, context makes things more digestible. We can make more fun of it, right? So even though somebody can Google it, they might not understand it. We could help you tell you a Drake story to make you understand it. People might think it's dull and boring, right? History. A lot of people think history is boring, but if I could tell you what Hitler did to basically lose World War II, and then help you increase your business at the same time, I just created value for you, right? So content is a commodity. It's the person who can make it digestible, who can make it entertaining, who can make it understandable. That's the context that you need on these platforms to be successful, right? So, like I said, I love hip hop. So, how many of you guys know DJ Academics and Charlamagne the God? How many of you guys know DJ Academics and Charlamagne the God? Let's see what we have. Me, okay. Who else knows DJ Academics, Charlamagne the God? One more person.
How do you effectively market your teacher business?
Yeah, we'll get into that more.
I got a couple.
Cool. Cool. Actually, is Power 105.1, not Hot 97, but yes, you know them, right? So DJ Academics, Charlamagne the God, they're like two hip hop guys. They cover the hip hop community. DJ Academics, you can follow. You can go on YouTube and see what I'm talking about, right? So he covers all the stuff like all hip hop stories. Now, everything that DJ Academics says is in the tabloids. It's in the newspapers. But why does he have so many subscribers, hundreds of thousands of subscribers? Why does he have hundreds of thousands of views on every video? Because he's entertaining, right? The stuff that he's reporting on is not new, right? News reporters, there's nothing new about what they're reporting because it's news. It happened. You hear about it on Channel 5, 7, 8, 9, 1. But it's their delivery that makes all the difference, right? Look at Ellen, right? Forget hip hop, right? How many of you know Ellen DeGeneres? How many people know Wendy Williams, Jimmy Fallon, right? Those three people probably talk about the same thing on one given day, but there's people out there like my mom who will watch all three of them. Why? Because they created context around the story that they're telling, right? So all of them is producing basically the same content, right? They're talking about Donald Trump and what he's doing and, Bernie Sanders and how Kylie Jenner's dating Tiger. They're all talking about the same content, but the context that they created is a little bit different, right? Wendy Williams, how you doing? Ellen DeGeneres, right? So the context is a little bit different. So what's going to set you apart is your context. And I know on the next page I have here is one of the most common problems that we get, right? One of the biggest fears, especially for young entrepreneurs, is why me? Do we have somebody who said there was 17 on here, 19, some people that's 30. Whether you're a young entrepreneur or you're getting into a business, it's like, why would anybody listen to me? I'm a young entrepreneur or I'm just starting this business. Why would anybody want to care about especially people creating personal brands? Why does anybody care about what I have to say, or why is anybody going to do my service when there's a competitor down the street who's been in business for 20 years? And to a degree, that might be true, right? So if you suck at what you're doing, right, you suck. There's nothing you can do about it. If you're a terrible speaker, no social media strategy that we're going to give you in the next 45 minutes is going to help you. Look at me, for example, right? In school, I kid you not, there was not one presentation in college that I didn't get less than an A in. I remember there was one time I had a team, right? I had a couple, for this example, I had 3 females on my team. And they did all the slides, they did all the work, all the legwork, and all I had to do was present. I did not research anything. I did not do anything. All they did was give me the slides 24 hours before, and I presented it, and I got us A on the project. I remember there was one time, me and my friend, we got a summons, right? So this is a funny story. For those of you in New York, right, the turnstiles? I was coming back from a football game. I didn't have my Metro card. And I couldn't go through the turnstile because you have to swipe the Metro card. But the door was open for the handicapped people. So I was like, forget it. I'm just going to go through it. And as soon as I went through it, the undercover cop said, to me and my friend, come here. And we went to court like a week later or whatever. And I spoke. My friend Akil Jones, he didn't say anything. I just spoke, and I got us out of the ticket. It was like $200 ticket. Got a clean record out of it. So what I'm trying to say is I'm self-aware, right? I've been with the company for about 4 months now, helping with marketing. They brought me in and help. And at the scrums, right, we do something called scrum. At the meeting, I'm talking, right? I'm kind of new in the department, but I'm talking for the department. I'm telling our company every single morning what we're doing 4 months into the business. I'm here doing a talk on Ty's platforms representing his brand. So let's be self-aware. Let's do the math. In school, I got nothing but A's on presentations. I'm new in the company, but I'm talking for the company. I'm in the company for 4 months, but I'm on Ty's platforms, speaking all 3 times. I'm probably a good speaker. I probably have a future speaking. I probably have a future being a face of something, right? I'm self-aware. But there's a lot of you out there who are doing things, and you're not good at it. So no matter if you're on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, whatever, you're not good at what you're doing, right? So to a degree, yes. Why you? Because you're not good. But if you're good, if you have a personality, if you want to if you want to create that content, if you're good like a DJ Academics, it doesn't matter because if you're good, you're talented. People are going to see it. Whether you're 17, whether you're 45, if you're good, if you could create art. You could throw it on Pinterest, people are going to buy it. But if you suck, we can't teach you. We probably can, but we can't teach you a Pinterest hack that's going to help you sell 25,000 pieces of art that suck, right? So to a degree, you have to have self-awareness. You have to be real with yourself. You have to know, okay, I'm good at this. I'm not good at this. And then once you find what you're good at, and we'll touch on Eularian Destiny, then you can begin marketing, right? Because if your product, Ty, what does Ty say about his mentor, Joe Salatin? You can't polish a turd. right? So before we get into the practical things, you have to first be real with yourself and evaluate what you're doing, your industry, your bit. Should you be in it? If you're an introverted person, should you be the front man, or should you get a partner who's the front man, or should you just stay out the camera in general and just write blogs? Right? So we have to, before we get into practical stuff, before we teach you, because we don't want you guys coming back and said, oh, they taught me how this Facebook hack, but it didn't work. You have to be self-aware.
Yeah, definitely agree.
So that's
now that was pretty funny because I'm actually introverted. So I ask myself all the time, should I be on camera? And every time I go on camera, it's like an experiment to me. If it goes well, which it's gone okay so far, then keep doing it. If it fails completely, then that's how you know. It's from the CDR, customer-driven response.
And we can easily tell who's good on camera if you're not good on camera, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool because we have Ty's platform right now, so he has thousands of people. The market is going to tell you whether you're good or not, right?
Yeah.
So right now I could tell, okay, this person says I'm a good speaker. This person says you're a good speaker.
Yeah.
This person says you're not a good speaker. So we could tell right now whether we're a good speaker or not, right? So you have to, like you said, be self-aware, right? And what I want to focus on now that we got that out the gate, when you're on the social media platforms, you have to focus on content, on your context as more as your content, right? As much as your content. So the reason why I say that is because people trust people, right? So if I'm just listening to a podcast and I'm writing notes on somebody else's podcast and I put it on my Twitter and try to use that content as myself, it's not really going to be as effective as I'm telling stories about me being from Staten Island, me growing up in the projects, me going to court because I didn't pay my transportation bill and things like that. I'm creating context. People can relate to me. Now, I'm going to alienate some people, right? Some people's like, oh, this guy, he talks funny, he has an accent, he uses ebonics. I'm not going to listen to him. But there's going to be some people that really relate to me, right? The person that likes Drake, the person that knows about Quentin Miller, right? Because I'm creating context, so I'm creating a bond with you, right? So let's look at Ronald McDonald, right? McDonald's. Let me ask you a question. Does McDonald's make the best burgers in America?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Not. I could go down to Mike's Shack down the corner, and he makes a better burger by far.
For sure, yeah.
But McDonald's created context around their brand, right? They created Ronald McDonald, the talking clown guy,
Yeah.
right? That children love and children adore, right? If I go to McDonald's, I get a Happy Meal, right? That's a story. That's context, right? I'm not only going to McDonald's for a burger. I'm going for the whole experience, right? So
Right.
if you're a person, I recommend you when you're on Twitter and you're on Facebook, especially on YouTube. I mean, this YouTube video is the best way to do this. Tell more personal stories. Tell things that can resonate with people.
Yeah.
Don't be so guarded because people, if you failed, if you got cut from a basketball team or you got broken up with, how many people you think like me because I went through my ex-girlfriend broke up with me after 3.5 years.
People relate to you.
People relate to you. So
Yeah.
for those of you who are on TV and you're guarded, I would recommend that you tell those stories because people are going to like those contexts. And then, okay, this person went through what I went through, but they're in this position, so I'm going to listen to them. So focus on context as more as content. I recommend you, if you guys fail, for everybody who fails and you're scared to tell your parents or your brothers and sisters because they're going to make fun of you, save those stories for the YouTube video because those same stories that embarrass you to family and friends is going to be the same reason why Joe and Sally buy your product.
Yes.
Create that context. Fail fast, fail in a hurry, and tell everybody.
We were talking to Pooh Richardson the other day. He's a starting point guard for like 20, I think it was 10 years in the NBA. He said the number one thing he remembers in the NBA was all the boos he would get when he was doing the free throws. Imagine 10,000 people booing you. Now, if you make those free throws, you could just imagine it's like $1 a boo is what he says. If everybody paid you $1 a boo, you'd want more. You'd want 1 million boos in your life. So really, all these boos and all these failures, they really help you and they make you grow as a person. Yeah.
And James is here. He just reminded me of Cam Newton. We were talking about let me ask you, James, what's more important, you think, content or context? You think, I was telling them, content is kind of a commodity. It's the story that you tell around the content, right? Because we have people like Ellen DeGeneres and Jimmy Fallon. They talk all about the same stuff, but it's their context that they created about them why people listen.
Yeah. Yeah, the storytelling, right? Putting context around yourself and why, why things happen to you, what you felt, how you, what you do. Like putting context around your own experience is huge. When I was on the live call an hour and a half ago, I was talking about my own experiences from being in the accelerator program. And so people could relate to that. Someone sitting at home going, should I join the accelerator program? Should I not do it? So then me giving content, which is, I used to only be making, 36 grand a year as a 38-year-old man, and then 2.5 years later, I sold $2 million worth of information products. That gives context, right?
Yep.
So I'm teaching a lesson by giving context. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps, right? So let's do an example. Like, you give the mic, but let's say like me and James are standing next to each other, right? Let's say we both create a business, right? Me and James own a multi-million-dollar business, or we own hundreds of $1,000s business, right? James tells you he started from nothing, he overcame this, he overcame that to become where he is now. And I just say, buy my product, and I'll tell you, you'll be happy, and I'm more secretive. Who are you going to trust more? You're probably going to trust James, number one, because you can relate to him. Number two, because he's honest with you. And number three, because he showed you he's a person. Like I said, people trust people.
Yeah, number 17, number 17 of the talk I did earlier, which is 17 ways to grow your business using social skills, was show vulnerability. Number 17, show vulnerability. And that means I was frustrated when, I was embarrassed when, I've really struggled with, I was heartbroken when, wow, I lost so much money. Talk about your failures. Talk about the times that you messed up, because people will really relate to that. And that is where the connection comes from. That's where the connection with a potential customer comes from. If you have a product and you're trying to sell something, rather than say, buy my product, it's amazing, be vulnerable. Talk about how you were in the pits of despair. Talk about how you messed up. Talk about how something didn't go right. Talk about a mistake that you made, because everybody can relate to that. Unless you right there, you can't relate to that, right? Because you're perfect. And you're perfect because you've never made a mistake.
Thanks, James.
No worries.
Appreciate you, man.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Peace.
Real quick, we gotta speed this up because I want to get to my talk too.
Okay, cool. I got one more.
I want to get to Nathan's talk too.
You guys don't.
Everybody wants to get to my talk.
Yeah. Okay. So just to wrap that up, and basically what I was saying, and I saw James, it reminded me of Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton created so much context around his story, right? He went to Florida, got expelled, basically kind of quit, but kind of got expelled from the school, kind of left the team because of the stolen laptop situation. Went to a small junior college, had to wash his own jersey for practice, got a full scholarship to Auburn, and then his first season in Auburn had to win the starting spot, then won a national championship, but then went through the whole allegations of paying for play. His father couldn't come to his games. His father couldn't come to the draft. His father couldn't come to the Heisman ceremony, right? He goes to Carolina. He fails again because they went off to a slow start, and then he finally gets to a Super Bowl. And then, the whole season he's dabbing, doing things like that because he overcame so much, right? Why do you think people love Cam Newton? It's not only because of the smile and the bravado and this dabbing and the Superman. It's because if you look at his story, a lot of people can relate to that, especially minorities from where he came from, right? So even though a lot of people alienated Cam, Cam celebrates too much, don't be scared of who you're going to alienate, because McDonald's, one of the biggest fast food companies, doesn't have 100%. They don't have 10% of the market share. So if all you guys who don't want to tell a story because you're scared you're going to lose somebody, well, you're never going to have everybody. You're never going to make anybody happy. I'd much rather recommend you tell a story and get more and get the attention and get the hearts of a select few, of a 10%, of a 15%, than try to be bland and try to get everybody, because you're going to end up getting nobody. So with that being said, a lot of ideas for you guys who don't know what you want to do. Make your pain or make your mess your message. Ty talks about that a lot. So for those of you entrepreneurs who are like, I'm not sure what I want to do, or I'm not self-aware, I don't know what industry I should get into, well, then pick a mess and turn it into your message, right? There was a guy, I think, from the testimonial page, he had a leg injury and he started a boot company or something like that. Oprah, went through a lot of trials and tribulations at a young age, started a talk show, was very emotional and captured the hearts of a lot of people. Robin Roberts, right, went through breast cancer and became a spokesperson. So
everybody loves this, rags to riches story, or this, that nobody really wants to hit that rock bottom anymore, and everybody's felt that kind of emotion, and it's a strong emotion. So once you get in touch with that, with other people's emotions to that level, then you feel a lot closer to your viewers, to your customers. So if you could get in touch with people's emotions, like that, you could really persuade people. You could really, connect with them.
And another way, besides getting away from the context, but another way to capture the hearts of people, I have a lot of friends who I'm helping a lot of friends with startups and things of that nature. One of the biggest mistakes you could do is not respond to people who's paying attention, right? We already talked about, listen, Ty, when Ty come, everybody stop, right? Everybody's like, Ty. We're talking about how context is more important than content, because content is a commodity. It's the story that you tell around that makes it more important. Like you and your $47.
Yep.
There's a reason why I'm here on this stage, because had he not said that, I'm like, yo, fuck this guy, But I can relate to him.
Careful with the language.
Yeah, he might fire me, right?
Fuck
Ty.
We got
Send me back to Staten Island.
Okay. But
yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right, Tao.
What's up, everybody? I'm going to do some boxing. Sammy's here. He said I'm 10 on there.
That's what I'm saying. You can't be like encouraging people. Okay.
Yeah. Ty can't see me.
Shout
in the
out
hands,
to
though.
me, Ty.
What's the subject one more time?
Ty, the subject is context versus content, and which is more important. Content is a commodity, but context in the story that you tell around it is most important.
More money, you got to know context.
Yep. Hey, yo, Ty, make sure you send me these snaps that you're recording me, because you never be sending them to my phone. Oh, all right. That's what I thought, boy.
Okay.
Nah, I'm kidding.
All right. Enough of that.
Yes.
Can we cut the fountains? I don't know why they just turned those on.
Damn.
Thanks.
Todd came. Everything went to shambles, man. He tried to steal the show. Nah, but I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. I'm gonna get Nathan to you guys, and Ty, last question. How do you think it makes people feel when you respond to their tweets? Everybody wants to feel like they're the center of the universe, right? So the biggest mistake that you start up people and things on social media, if you think you're too cool to respond to somebody, especially if you're not on Ty's level, right? Ty, Gary V, all these people on such a high level where they don't have time to reasonably talk to everybody. But if you're starting out and you have hundreds, thousands of people on Twitter, and people are tweeting you and you think, oh, okay, I'm too cool to respond to this person, you're making a freaking big mistake, because that person that you respond to, they're on the fence, right? Let's say that you responded to them could either tilt them on or off.
Exactly. Yeah. One technique that I try to do is when people add me on Snapchat, like hundreds of people add me on Snapchat in a day sometimes, I just follow everybody back and I actually watch their stories. And it's interesting. If you're on Snapchat and you have a huge following, follow your people back and check out their stories. What I learned is I learned a little bit more about my audience, what they like, what their background is. Especially Snapchat, you get like a glimpse of their life. You can't do any better R&D on your audience than watching what they do every day. It's kind of crazy. But I'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah, I'll give you my Snap and my
we'll do that at
Instagram
the end. We'll do that at the end. You can reach out to us in a sec.
And another hack that I've tried, because I ended up dropping out of school, and what I did was after I dropped out, I kind of deleted everybody off my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter. I kind of created new profiles, and I wanted to kind of start from scratch, not having any really story behind me. And another thing you could do is somebody likes your picture, like 3 of their pictures back, or if somebody likes your picture, go and comment on them, right? If you show people that effort and that intention, the next 5 pictures you post, they're going to like your pictures back. Yep. Right? So don't think you're too cool to respond to people just because you're taking action and you're the guy, you're the go-getter. Cool. But if you don't have those eyeballs like we talked about earlier, you're not going to have any money. So appreciate the people who are paying attention to you. After a conference, right? I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but after a conference, we usually get an upsell in sales, because a lot of internet people forget this. They forget this part. They sit behind their computers, they do what they do, and a lot of them are math magicians. They're genius. They run AdWord campaign, Facebook campaigns. They know that this cost per conversion is this much, so let me optimize their campaign this way. And we talk about that stuff in Accelerator for those of you guys who are interested in that type of stuff. However, the human element of it is really lost, right? Like James said, right? How much more impactful is it to go across the country and meet up with somebody in person rather than on the phone? Or a text or over email, right? That effort, that human connection, being in person, really matters. And now that we're in kind of a technology kind of frenzy, don't forget the human element part of it, because you going across country, you making a video, responding to somebody on Twitter instead of just texting them, can make all the difference. And the last point I have here is before I worked with Ty, I worked for kind of a small marketing agency. I kind of ran their Twitter and stuff like that. And, what they had me do was kind of respond to everybody who tweeted us, and also to kind of search for conversations that were going on and reach out because like I said, Twitter is the best platform for listening. So if you're starting from scratch, you can kind of listen to what's going on in your niche and kind of join the conversation.
Yep.
That's definitely something you could do on Twitter. But you know, I'd reach out to them. That helped with traffic to the website, right? You know, people. When you're not responding to somebody, you're leaving money on the table, right? Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean be salesy. It does not mean be salesy. But if you show people that effort, that person could buy later down the line.
It's the difference between you looking like a robot and you being a human. You know when you call, I'm gonna hate on Time Warner right now because I like hate Time Warner. When you call them, they always give you a robot. They give you this voicemail. They're like, dial 1, and honestly, it's like the worst customer service ever. Here, when you call us on our phone number, our hotline. 1-800-604-2587. When you call us, you get a real human being. And I think that's key, and it shows. You know, when we used to work in support, we used to answer the phone calls.
Yes.
Now we rised up the ranks, and we learned all the marketing and all this thing. But when we were in support, how many phone calls would you get, and people are surprised that you
real people. And that's what I was saying. A lot of the internet people lose track of that.
Yeah, and it's a different vibe that you give off. You're a real, you know, careful with the.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Careful with that. Careful with the ripping. So when you portray that you're human, you beat everybody else who's robotic everybody else who's using buffer only on Facebook and stuff.
Yes, automation.
Everybody who's doing automating everything. You know, you got to really put a human aspect to it, or else you lose a lot of your audience. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to be sold by a robot. I'd rather like Girl Scout cookies. If that got ran by robots, it'd be a sad day. You know. Yeah, live is best.
Yeah,
it's the difference between a live call right now versus a replay. Would you watch a replay? I wouldn't watch a replay. You know, you're a lot less likely to watch robotic things, is what I'm saying.
You know, the fact that we could respond to Danny DJ 88 and Retirement Geek
right here,
right? The fact that we could call you guys out and kind of and give you value makes a difference.
That's one of my mentors, I think. Geek.
I'm gonna let you do your talk. Let me kind of just I know people have been asking for my Snapchat, my Instagram. Can you kind of just step out the way a little bit?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, my Snapchat is I kind of jock Ty's, right? I'm a student of the game, so Ty is Ty Lopez 1. Mine is Andrew Cop 1. Andrew Cop COPP 1. That's my Snapchat, and my Instagram.
It's John.
And my Instagram is Andrew J Cop COPP. Now, for the most part, you kind of want all your social medias to be the same name. I unfortunately couldn't do that, but for the most part you don't want to do that, so this is bad philosophy by me. But for the most part I'm going to change that, because on Snapchat you can't change the name right now, but what I would do is change my Snapchat to Andrew J Cop. But that's my Instagram, Andrew J Cop COPP, Andrew J Cop COPP Instagram, and on my Snapchat it's Andrew Cop 1.
Got it.
That's the plug, boy. Right I gave you a lot of value, and I hit you with the right hook. I'm out. Drop mic.
Wait, you're still